They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go! Here I am.
One battle after another. Now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17 animated without parent.
You can't hide.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
You're listening to the Super Rugby Cymru podcast. Hello and welcome to another Super Rugby Cymru podcast special with me, Lee G. Joining me this evening is Cardiff RFC Head Coach Dan Fish. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening.
So, we're going to have a chat about the SRC and all of that kind of stuff and the first season. But let's start with yourself, because you're a really young coach by most standards. So what's your kind of journey been into coaching? Like, we know you're pretty awesome player. I say pretty awesome. You were an awesome player for Cardiff and what have you. So, but the move into coaching has been quite rapid for you.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was just sat around the Vale one day and Martin Fowler asked me would I be interested in coaching down at Cardiff Vale College, and it was like earn a bit of extra money outside of my rugby stuff. So I thought, I'm not doing anything else, so I may as well give it a go. And when I started off, obviously it was like hard at first, but then I really started to enjoy it. And then from then Martin took me up to Glamorgan Wanderers with him, where we done 3 or 4 seasons together. And then before you know it, 4 years earlier, I think, I don't need to worry about life after rugby. Then 4 years later, it pretty much hits you like, well, what am I going to do now? And I was fortunate enough that when I finished to go, opportunity come at the academy in Cardiff. So I was fortunate to slip straight into that. And obviously, first 2 years there, I was player coach at Cardiff. Probably the most nervous I've ever been playing, playing with my academy players. So, there's more pressure there than it was on the telly. So, thoroughly enjoyed that. Then, obviously, I've enjoyed working the last 2-3 years coaching the attack and backs at Cardiff. And then, obviously, this year, I'm fortunate enough to be named as the head coach.
So, just take me back to being player coach, because I did that for 1 year. And how much do you have to watch your language when you're when you're on the side and you can swear under your breath and all of that kind of stuff, and then you're stood next to the person that you would have been swearing at? How difficult was that for you?
Well, the most difficult I thought is probably the pressure, really. I'm coaching these kids Monday to Friday. I'm trying to help them become professional rugby players. So if I go out there on a weekend, then I'm doing the opposite to what I'm trying to coach them. It won't be long before them boys lose that respect for you. So that's where I felt the most pressure. Obviously, I couldn't try and get them to do stuff if I couldn't do it myself. So, going into them games was almost, it felt good because I could obviously help them boys on the pitch. It was almost like coaching on the pitch as well. But then on the other hand, then is also, making sure I was doing the best that I could for them boys to believe in me, and obviously to listen to what I was actually trying to coach them.
And praying that you never drop an easy pass.
I don't think you'll find a clip of me dropping the ball on the arms pack, if I'm honest. So
You confiscated them. Cool. So let's talk SRC then. So obviously first season for the SRC and your head coach at Cardiff. How's preparation been and how's pre-season been for you so far?
it's been tough. Obviously, we have a mixture of academy boys. Obviously, we're fortunate enough to have a couple of boys away with the Wales in the 20s. They've come back into pre-season late. So we've had a good mix of some new boys who've just come into the academy, obviously linking up into pre-season with obviously our semi-pro boys, which obviously we've got a good blend of them. So, it's been challenging, but I think, obviously as far as we've come at the moment, I think what we want to get out of pre-season, we've got to. And obviously now it's about trying to get things right now over the next 2 or 3 weeks now, leading up into this RGC game. Obviously, we played on a weekend against Ponty, which was good for us to get our first hit out. We're drip feeding things into the team now, and hopefully, come RGC, we'll be the best version of ourselves at Cardiff RFC.
Yeah, I was looking at your fixture list, and I thought first game RGC away is that's a bit, you couldn't get further away, could you? It's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, we said obviously it's probably good to get out of the way nice and early in the season, but like I said the other day, no game in this league is going to be easy, so it didn't matter who was up first, home or away. None of these teams in this league are just going to turn up and just get rolled over. So, every week's going to be a tough one. Obviously, RGC away first game of the season is going to be tough. Some boys have never been up there. We'll travel up in the morning, play the game, and travel back straight after. So that'll be new to some people, but that's the way we have done it. So it's just about us prepping our stuff right and going down there. Like we went down there last year and we lost. So we know RGC are a good team. They've made some good signings this year, so we know it's going to be a tough start. But if we can get our stuff right from our end, we go down and we give it our best shot. We'll be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you look at how everybody's recruited, and obviously everybody's a lot more tied in with academies this year and what have you. Can we give any weight to like last season's performances and last season's games, or is it like a complete new sheet? Is it a blank sheet? Do we start from scratch again?
No, we kept the majority of the semi-pro boys. The semi-pro boys we had last year, we've kept them. Obviously we know how vital they are to the environment, and having good semi-pro players is vital to help our young boys develop. Because these young boys now, I look up to them semi-pro boys, and semi-pro boys, some of them have been professional themselves. So, as they have high standards. So when the younger boys come up, them semi-pro boys will drive them standards. So our academy boys know where we need to get to. So yeah, it's like we said, is we're not going to start again. Is pretty much me and Craig Everett are still coaching from last season. Obviously, Josh Turnbull has come in now. So, it's just, everybody knows the way our Cardiff want to play. We're not going to try and rewrite the world. We just want to try and get better at the stuff we're doing and just be more efficient of when we do have the ball and when we are trying to get that ball back.
Yeah. So you mentioned obviously Josh coming in. So how does my favorite one on this is tell me like I'm an idiot, which people seem to do really well. How does that kind of structure with yourself and Josh and Cardiff Rugby, and dropping in and out of the two kind of systems? How does that work for you this season?
Well, obviously at the moment, Josh is in charge of our junior academy program and our under 18s, and then he'll run our attacking contact area and our line out for Cardiff RFC. Then I'm pretty much look after our senior academy, and then look after the backs in attack at Cardiff, being head coach. And then we got Craig Zen, who's our defence coach at Cardiff and does all our defensive stuff within our academy structure. So we work together every day. So we got a good understanding of each other. We got a good bond. We like to challenge each other. We like to try and get what's best for each other. And like for us, we are unique, obviously, because we are fortunate to be in the office 4 days a week. Try not to rip each other's head off when things go wrong. But we do try and work together to get what's best for the players.
Yeah, and that's quite unique, isn't it? Because there aren't many other sides that are going to have the kind of structure that you have. So that linking with the Cardiff Rugby is quite tight in a way, is it? Like you take let's take Llandovery and the Scarlets. They are still two separate entities, whereas you guys are really, really close to Cardiff Rugby and almost integrated into that system, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's worked well over the last couple of years. Obviously, we got good coaches, obviously at Cardiff Rugby, who come down, who will help us out if we're stuck for any questions, any suggestions. Their door's always open for us to go in to knock on. And I think it's important that how the senior team try and play rugby is important that we filter that through to the Cardiff RFC into our academy system, into our under 18s, our under 16s, because it's important to filter it down. So when we're coaching our academy boys, semi-pro boys, a couple of injuries and them boys might have to go up to the pro team, and it's important that we're helping them. So if they do get that knock on the door, they don't go up there and they're like a fish out of water. So we try and keep things as close as we can. Obviously, we do have to water it down. We're not a professional rugby team. We do have to water things down, but the principles of what we're trying to get out of our attack, what we're trying to get out of our defence, the calling systems are pretty similar to what happens above us. And I think that's what's worked well for us over the last couple of seasons, with players dropping down to RFC and then boys who have to go up and help out at Cardiff Rugby.
So how much credit do you personally take then for Cam Winnett for his rise? When you see him on the pitch and you see him in a Welsh shirt, how much of that do you go, oh, he's there because of me?
No, we were lucky. We had a very good group of academy players. The likes of Cam, Alex Mann, Mackenzie Martin, Theo Cabango, Emmanuel Faber-Bosch, who was in their academy group, Mackenzie Martin, Evan Daniels, Evan Lloyd, Reece Barrett. Sometimes you do get a freak group like that, and obviously the important thing for us was getting the best out of them players. And well, internally we knew how good them boys are. Obviously, we weren't expecting them to rise as quick as they did, but like we said, our job was to make them ready. And as you've seen last year, they went up into that senior rugby, into Cardiff Rugby, and they didn't look out of place. So obviously that's a credit to them. And obviously we only play a small part in their journey, but like as an academy group now, we get our buzz from our academy players, playing for Cardiff Rugby, run out on the Arms Park. And then obviously then the ultimate one is then when they do put that Welsh jersey on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a joy as a coach, isn't it? You just having somebody that you've seen or you've worked with for a couple of years coming through and just being able to kind of know inside yourself that you've played a little small part in their journey to where they've got to, isn't it?
Yeah, as you said, look, we just, they get picked up in academies for a reason, obviously, because they're talented enough. So it's about us, getting that talent out of them. Obviously, not letting them get carried away, keeping their feet on the floor. And it's about them boys working hard, because like the names you've just mentioned, they're, our next boys in the academy, they're not a million miles away. 18 months ago, where they sat now, that was the likes of them boys we just spoke about, we sat in the same room as they are now.
Yeah. So talking of talent and names to watch out for then, so I know bits about Cardiff RFC, I've seen the bits on telly and all that, but I don't know a lot of the background stuff about Cardiff RFC. So who are the players I need to be looking out for this year in the SRC? But who are the players that are going to set it alight, and the ones that you're looking forward to watching?
Well, to be fair, we got like a couple of exciting backs. Obviously, we got Elijah Evans, who's just been playing for Wales in the 20s. Harry Wild, who's a young outside half. Sean Davis, Wales under 18s from half last year. He'll be one to look out for. But then you also got the likes of our semi-pro boys, like Derry Cross. He's not by far like over the hill. If he can keep the form he's on, it wouldn't surprise me if he had a regional call. So, when we talk about developing, it's not just developing our young academy boys. Our semi-pro boys. They want to learn. It's our job to help them as well. It's not, they're semi-pro boys, we treat them different to the academy. when we train as a Cardiff RFC team, they all get treated the same, and we'll give as much care to them senior boys as we do to our academy boys during them sessions. And if any of them want to come in and do any extras, they do our video stuff, we're there to help them boys just as much as we are as our day job with the academy. So, we got in the forward pack, we got some good boys, Cam Tyler Growcock, a loose head prop, Evan Reese can cover second row, back row. And then obviously then like your Nathan Hood, your Craig Hood, them boys who've been round, for the last couple of years in the Premiership were good, solid, top-end Welsh Premiership players, having them boys alongside the likes of our young boys, just shows them from a different point of view of, they don't get everything, but they go out every weekend, put their body on the line, basically to get the win. So, like I said, it's important that we do get that mix right between the young boys and them semi-pro boys, because I've played in teams where a real good team on paper, we're all young, you just get beat up and you just get physically outworked. So, you have to have them boys around and you have to get that balance right, because it is about learning. The ultimate goal in this league is about development, but, we want to be in a good mentality of, you want to win. You don't want to have a losing mentality and be happy to lose. So our focus is player development opportunities, but also being a tough team to beat. We ain't just going to put a team on the field and say, go out there and enjoy it, see what happens. We're going to prep as best as we can for the team we're playing against. We give every team we play against the most respect that we can, and about getting our stuff right. Then, them boys have got to learn. Like we said, they're only 1 or 2 injuries away from us, from being in that senior environment. So we have to make sure they're on it. And that's off the field as well as on the field.
Yeah, off the field stuff is massive, isn't it? And I guess that's where the SRC comes in as that handy stepping stone, where, like you say, you've got those older guys who may have been around 3 or 4 years that have got that bit of experience to kind of streetwise rugby, if you like, and then you've got your young whippersnappers coming up that will run just forever and ever and ever, and not maybe sit back and have a look at the game and see what's going on in it. It's how important is that blend? Like, who's the oldest player in the squad? Who's got the most kind of experience, and that's who's going to really lead the young uns this year?
Probably say forward pack would be Mark Thomas. Obviously, Mark played number of professional rugby games, Ospreys, Cardiff Rugby, Worcester Warriors. He's there on a loose head prop. So the stuff that he could teach our young props, who we got a number of young front rowers who were up there training with us. The stuff that he can show them and talk to them about is nothing that any of the coaches got a Cardiff have experienced. We've never put our head in there. So the stuff he can help them forward with is invaluable to them, and he'll be a big asset to us. And then in the back line, you got like a Jason Harris, a Tom Haberfield. These boys have been around. They've seen it, they've been there themselves, and they know what it takes to get to that professional level and play regular professional rugby. So it's important that we have them guys around, and they're obviously like as part of our leadership group who involve the young boys into everything. And our leadership group ain't you have to be over a certain age, or this is we've got young boys in there, we've got new boys, and we've got a couple of them older boys. So it's important that the way kids are today, people learn different. So it's important that our younger boys are able to voice their opinion in that leadership group, so what we can get what's best for the whole squad. Because what the older boys might like is different to what the younger boys like. So we have to get a middle ground where, when we're doing our meetings, when we're on the pitch, is engaging, we're keeping boys focused. Because these kids nowadays, they probably watch a 15-second TikTok video, then on to the next one. And so it's important that we do keep these boys engaged, and like I said, it's part of their learning. And obviously the starter play stuff, we got a big focus on boys, in an individual role. So we put a big focus on that, obviously, with the questions and stuff, and it's just making sure that them boys are switched on, because if they're not switched on, they'll get found out when they go onto the pitch. And so we do make a big focus on, if everyone in our team can get their individual role right, it gives us the best chance of succeeding on a weekend. If one boy don't want to do that and don't want to look at his role, then he's going to let the team down, and that's the pressure we'll put on them boys this year. Because, to be fair to them, they do their work off the pitch. They do look and watch other teams. As a coaching group, we try and prep them as best as we can. So all we ask them is just to see the stuff that we've done, see the stuff that they've done, put it together to come up with a plan for that game that coming week.
So one of the things that's kind of been said about the SRC is it'll bring some of that rivalry back that we used to have in Welsh rugby. So who are you most looking forward to play? Who are you most looking forward to playing, and who's most likely to have a 30-man brawl in the middle of the pitch at some point during the game?
Well, obviously, like you said, all the teams now, they've everyone in the league recruited well. Obviously with Ponty not in the league, the probably biggest games for us will be them 2 Christmas derbies when we play Newport. Obviously, Newport are a very, very good team, a very, very good coaching staff, very good players. They've got a good blend of senior players and youngsters, exactly like us. And every time we play each other, we always have good games. I'm not sure about the 30-man brawl. Mind be too many cameras for that now, but them 2 games will be, them 2 games will be worth watching out for. And like I said, Llandudno, they were the best team in the league the last 2 years, probably. We run them close the year before. Obviously, they beat us in the final. Then last year, Newport run them close. So, like I said, with the new structure of the league, I think every game is going to be tough. There ain't going to be a team when you just turn up and they're going to roll over. So it's important that, you have to prep well, and you're not always going to get on the right side of the result. But I think if you can get your process right, then you go back and look at that process. Hopefully, by getting that process right, the outcome hopefully will take care of itself. But that's not always going to be the case. And sometimes you might play well and lose. So it's just obviously prepping them boys as best as we can. And like you said, boys are going to go on the pitch. No one wants to make an error. But it's important that we, as a coaching team, as a playing team, if we want to play rugby, there's going to be errors, and we just have to, we have to get on with that. If we want to play multi-phase, we want to play from deep, whatever we want to do, there's always going to be consequences to it. And we always can be moaning it's a skill error, because that's our job. So I think it's like to be hopefully some good free-flowing rugby. Because when the games are on telly, I think that's what people want to watch. And I think that's the brand of rugby we want to see in this league. Obviously, we spoke to the refs last week, and that's the brand that they want to ref. So I think it could be in for an exciting league. Obviously, some of them older heads then will be using their experience to take the knee to make sure the referee do stop the game. But hopefully, like I said, it will be an entertaining season with obviously a lot of good, tough teams in it.
Yeah, and I think that can only be a good thing, really. I think there's a lot of hype that should be thrown at the SRC when you look at the squads and you look at what people are saying. We've spoken to a couple of coaches as well, and everyone's kind of in that we want to play exciting rugby kind of mindset. So I'm assuming that's where you're coming from on it as well. This is about putting an entertaining package together that people are going to want to come and see. People are going to want to come to the Arms Park because they know they're going to be entertained for 80 minutes or so. Is that how you're playing the game this year?
Yeah, like I said, we've tried to do our last couple of years. We just want to have as much ball and play as we can. Like I said, it's our job to upskill these players. So, we're doing our micro skills in training just to make sure that, fundamentally there is going to be drop balls, but that's going to happen. So we just got to brush that off and go again. And like we said, with this league now, the development, obviously, coaches are developing, players are developing, referees are developing. If you're a young boy watching a game now, if you're seeing a lot of rugby being played and not stop-start, I think it will get more audience. And, everyone in every club now have got young players, and all young boys want to do is run. They got no fear. These youngsters nowadays, they just back themselves. And I think that's what's going to be real good. And it's about letting them boys back themselves. And obviously, and what they have got is their X factor. That's where they're playing in this league. And then the other rugby bits, and that's about coaches around the league adding that to that player, not taking away his strengths. Basically, you've picked him because he's good at that, so let him do what he's good at, and then just help him with the other stuff. And so I think, hopefully we'll be in for an interesting year. But you know what it's like, everyone says this in pre-season when everybody's been running, and then when it comes to the nitty-gritty stuff, and
yeah, When it's 4 degrees below, the rain's coming at you horizontally, and someone says, "Let's run it from your own 22." It's not necessarily going to happen, is it? But
Yeah.
So, last kind of question then on the rugby side of it, Dan, before we get into the real nitty gritty. Okay, so give me a prediction on where you're going to finish this year. You got 10 sides. You got 10 really competitive sides. Where are Cardiff going to end up this season?
Well, we want to be aiming for that top 4.
Mm-hmm.
You said there's a lot of good teams in this league. We've just said as a group, we want to be a tough team to beat. We want to be in every game. If someone beats us, we want them to go off the pitch and they've had to work hard for that win. So, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, we're going to win the league. We're going to be top of the league." We have to be realistic as well. So I think a top 4 is what we'll aim for. But as I'm sure you've seen with the structure of the league, you could finish in 10th and still win the league anyway. So I'm not really sure league standards matter towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it and I've looked at the structure of the season, and you kind of get to the end of it and it gets a bit. So you just go, "Do you know what? We'll just look at the fixtures. We'll stop it there, and then we won't bother with what's after that because it's far too confusing, isn't it?"
Yeah, all I know is 1 to 10 at the end of the season got a chance of winning the league. So
yeah, it's
don't pick too soon.
But then that might be one of those experiments that actually adds a real bit of interest to the end of the season. We won't know until we get there, will we? It'll be good. So, right, let's ask some real interesting questions now, Dan. These are the ones that kind of nail you on as a coach and all of that kind of stuff. So, who's your biggest pretty boy in the side at the minute?
Debbie Cross.
Right, lovely. Who's top on karaoke?
Mark Thomas.
Who's first into training and needs a mirror before they lift the weight?
Where put that to? Tom Aberfield.
Right, okay. And last one then. So, who's first to the bar?
Oof. Not Craig Everett. First to the bar. Jason Harries.
Yeah, there you go. So
he works at the clubs. You've got to get them free.
When it comes to those questions, it's always the older players that are first to the bar and all that kind of stuff, mate. So fantastic. So, Dan, we wish you all the very best for the season, mate. I'm judging by the squad that you've got and the quality that you've got there, I think you're in for a real cracking season. We wish you all the very best from the SRC pod, and thank you for your time this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and fingers crossed we can do it again later in the season. So have a good one, mate.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. That was the Super Rugby Cymru podcast. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.